expert at my own life. Say what? I am an expert at my own life. Those who don't do teach, it was thought. Wrong, but blossom, you do and must teach. Silly, stupid, or else silly, stupid runs the show, Mo. Now I've got to go blow my own soul out to the one fool who gets it. So no more mediocre when truth arises out your lips. Kiss silky stink of orange peppermint and sip it slowly. Walk it gently and take it easy, breezy, baby. Sing it loudly, silent lady, and say what?
I'm DeeTruePoetry, and I'll be doing Painting My Truth. In life, there are people who will never understand how we turn pain into art, while others cause more pain by contradicting. Within this, we display the most abstract, although relatable, impressions. Pain looks different in every situation, so no matter what you think you've observed in my calligraphy, it's definitely my story. I use metaphors to create a masterpiece, mastering my piece by piecing together the unseen. The things you feel, well, that's another line to another poem. I'm not here to make you comfortable. So let me paint the scene, or as they say, the bigger picture. Believe me, my only priority is me. Being comfortable in my skin, within these scars, this pain, this trauma running through my veins. Do my words offend? Are my features speaking a different language than my pen? How the picture I sketch be what they want to say, but don't. On this point, how you fix your lips to say, no disrespect, but aren't you Puerto Rican? As if that gives you an excuse to shove oppression down my throat just because it tastes better when served in soft tones. Force-feeding rainbows as those Skittles, but not sweet at all. So no, I will not lower my tone. I will not change my poem. I will not do anything to make you feel more comfortable. My name is DeeTruePoetry for a reason, painting my truth in whatever color necessary, showcasing my words in its proper tone, painting each poem in its truest form.
Hello again, my beautiful expressionists out there. Welcome again to another episode of Speak Your Mind. And let's give some snaps, a lot of snaps for Miss DeeTruePoetry. Woo, 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 telling it like it is. Thank you so much for being on our show. Feel so grateful and so honored to have you here. Lady in green, lady of the forest is what I said to you when you first sat down.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. It just puts an instant smile on my face. Yeah. And so, folks at home, you know this section of our show is where we get you involved in writing. It's our writing challenge. So I'm going to give you a prompt. So you're going to go ahead and grab a pen and your journal. But of course, before we get started, we are going to ask our guest today to let us know what inspires you the most in your work.
In my work, I am inspired. Nowadays, I'm inspired by everything. When I first started writing, it was more so a healing thing for me, just a venting thing, because when I was raised, it's be seen but not heard. So I kind of just wrote it down, so I didn't have to do all that explaining. So then it just turned into just a journey for me. You know, it's just, I feel like my story is not just my story. Other people go through the same thing, but they just feel like they're alone. So when they hear me, they're like, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what kept me going all these years, where people are like, so relatable. Oh my goodness, thank you for doing that poem. Keep doing it. And it's like, oh, so I'm relating to people and touching people in ways that I never would have known unless they told me, you know? So that's really what inspires me.
Yeah, and that was a great segue, because that is the reason why I ask every guest that same question, is because, like, you know, you are here as community leaders. So the whole mission of this show is to be able to give back to our community. Right. This is public access, and to be able to get them involved
and for, for you at home to see the people who are out doing it, our local artists, but also to be able to be inspired by their work so that you can go and put that within your own work. So you said it better than I could have said it. Yeah. And so, with that said, now it's time for you guys to get writing, to get started. So our theme today is going to be write a 5 to 10 line poem. So it's a 5 to 10 line poem on mother and nurturing is our prompt, is our theme. And so we always start off with a little bit of a brainstorm, and the brainstorm is just a warm-up to get us out of our left side of our brain, left thinking, into our right side brain thinking. And it's going to be a 30-second brainstorm. And so go ahead and grab your pen and your journal. I'll give you some paper if you want to join along. Sure. And this is our toolbox. And what you're going to do is you're going to open up your journal, and at the top of your page you can write brainstorm, you can write the theme, and you're just writing any impressions, any first impressions that come up. So it'll be about 30 seconds. Mike in the back is going to put on some concentration music. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it. So as you're writing, you're going to write any emotions that come up. When you think of or hear mothering or nurturing, you can write memories. You can write blah, blah, blah. We're priming the pump. This is just getting pumping the well, working out the kinks. Again, it could be emotions, it could be memories, it could be titles, themes. It could be, I don't know what I want to say, but I know I want to play. It could be doodles. The most important thing is you're keeping your pen to the paper. Because what it is it's shutting off the analytical, judgmental brain, and it's helping our creative brain gain access deep inside that well where all of our creative ideas come from. And it's allowing us to be more spontaneous. And this will be your toolbox that you use when you go ahead and write your 5 to 10 line poem. So about a few more seconds. And you can always do this longer, in your own time, or pause the video and do a longer brainstorm. Make it your own. Hopefully you'll make this a nice little ritual before you ever sit down to write. And you can go ahead and put your pen down now. Mike is going to shut off the music. And hopefully you have some good little pieces to work with to dip into for your piece. Now, we went ahead and wrote something already, and we're going to share. And I always save the best for last, and you are the best. So I'll share my poem first, and then we'll share yours, and we'll talk a little bit about it and also get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Great. All right. So, let me turn the page, get to it. All right. Motherhood and nurturing. A topic so elegant in its perfection of fantasy on Thursday night television. Adjusting rabbit ears while fighting over the spot on the couch closest to. I want it and you can't. Shut up or go to bed. A distant memory from chuckles and respite out of rage and chaos. The jealousy and mockery projected on the screen. Now oasis to her weariness and comfort to us all.
I love that.
Thank you. All right, here you gotta say.
I went a different route. I'm just gonna get right into it. All I've known to do has haunted me through and through. Survival was top priority, although mother isn't always nurturing. What seems like selfless acts are just that, acts. Learned traits become reality. This be the only way, you see. At times feeling unworthy, overcompensating by smothering, making up for what was lacking. Loving so hard, but still so distant. A choice, life-altering. This was my chance to make it right. Only having to fight. Self-conflict turned nurturing. Mothering self, unlearning trauma. So that's what I came up with.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. We're going to talk that in a second. Folks at home, if you want to pause the video, go ahead and write your 5 to 10 line poem. You could do it now, or you can do it later, and you can do this. And I love what you wrote, because the reason I thought of this theme for you is based on many conversations we had, but a very poignant conversation that we had about your experience as a mother. And what I loved about it is that, you didn't gloss over anything. You talked about your experience and so real and so raw. And I see you as a mother. We had your daughter on our show as well.
Yes.
And I see how nurturing and what a strong force you are for her. But also I feel like in the, at Poets realm and within the poetry world, you carry the essence of mother, like that nurturing mother, poet mother. I mean, I think you're younger than I am, so it's not like an age thing or anything like that, but and you're dressed as like Lady Gaia Mama. So I do feel like there's something about your essence that embodies the epitome of motherhood. And again, like I said, what I love is that you don't sugarcoat it because it's complicated. Like in my poem, and I knew you would bring it. I knew you weren't going to give us something like, kind of like my poem was talking about the sitcom, the sitcom family and all that, like the pretend and like how everything gets tied up with a bow at the end.
Right.
But the reality is the rage and the chaos.
Yes.
And within all that stuff, we still come back to this like nurturing. And then the fact that you're able to reflect upon who you were as a mother and where you got it right and where you got it wrong, I think is so powerful and so needed in this society that we're in right now. So would you share a little bit about, the background of the poem that you wrote as well as like some of the stuff that we had discussed about this topic?
When I thought of mother, I thought of what I didn't get in my childhood and how I became a mother, not a teenage mother, but looking at my oldest and looking at their age at this point in time and realizing that I became a mother this early in life, and I couldn't imagine, like, that's my baby, and it's just like I was a baby. And so I had a lot of things. For the first one, I did what I knew best to do in a way where I felt like I was doing it better than my mom, right? And so I still realized that I still had things to learn, and I still did it wrong because every person is different, and I learned through my kids. And so nowadays I still have two that I'm raising. One is raised, and I have two that I'm raising. And then I realize even more so with speaking with my child where I could have done better, even better. And at first I wasn't willing to listen because I was still healing and I couldn't hear, right? And so we got to rekindling our relationship and realizing where I can do better and understanding that I still have to take it in a different route because everyone's different, but I can make it better. And so with the faking and everything, I feel like it was an act in front of everyone that my mother portrayed. Not that she didn't love us, but it was just, like you say, the sitcom. And then behind doors, it wasn't peachy keen, And so these things that I had to learn, I implemented them, and I took tidbits from my oldest and said, whatever, and try to be a better person today than I was yesterday, and not just I'm the mother. No, a better person, because the only way to produce better people is just be a better person and understand and be willing to listen and be willing to say I'm sorry for things, not just but because you really mean it. Because I didn't get any apologies, I didn't get any explanations, because I said so and that's it. So I'm just trying to be a better person and trying to mother my kids a little better and trying to nurture them in a way where it's not smothering and it's not exaggerated and it's not, and so.
And it makes sense too, because you were saying, about like being, young and feeling like you didn't have a voice, so you had to write to get that out. Because it's a time, and in a time period, yes, definitely. But I also think it's a consciousness.
Yes.
Because it's happening today, very much so, where there is this sort of like, kind of this almost like rigidity about the word mother or parent that happens, that like, you cannot scrutinize, or you have to scrutinize to hell, And so, we have a hard time, I think, being able to be reflective about the things that we didn't get and the things that we did get and put it in its proper perspective. And I think, like I said, that conversation that we had, I felt like you really, like, you were speaking from experience. It was like you were not just saying it, You know, you were like, yes, this is what I'm living each and every day, and I'm not afraid to apologize, but I'm also not afraid to, like, you know, be mess it up,
Right,
and then
right.
go back and correct it, and go back and correct it, you know. And I think there was something else you said about that. Maybe it was with your oldest that you're kind of learning through each other, that you're getting that. Did you say you were getting that feedback?
Yeah.
Which I think is so brave.
It is. It took a while for me to actually listen. Yeah. My oldest took a lot of time, and then our relationship, you know, wasn't that great at one point because I still had that mental of I'm the mother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't have to listen to this, you know. And until I had to put that aside, and not to say I don't still struggle. I still struggle to this day, but I take the time out, even if it's not right there and then. I take the time out later on, you know. And when people and we also have to, like, we raise our kids, right? But we can't take full responsibility for their accomplishments because they're still their own individual person. So yeah, we do things in the beginning to implement certain things to push them in a certain direction. But you can implement the same things in every single kid and they'll be totally different. So when people are like, oh, you know, giving me praise for what Breeze does, and it's just like, Breeze is like the breeze. Like, I have nothing to do with that. Like, you know, I did what I had to do in the beginning, and you'll see bits and pieces of what I've instilled. But all in all, those are their accomplishments, not mine. So it feels weird, and they're like, oh, you're my... And it just... that unworthy feeling is just like, that's where that unworthy feeling comes from. It's like...
And I think that's what you do well, which is why when I want to really explain why I chose this phrase, when I first sent it, I was like, oh, she's going to think because I'm Breeze's mom and all that. But it isn't. It's really because of that conversation we had about your experience, you know, as a child and as a mother, and learning to grow and be better. And I was inspired by that, separate from you being Breeze's mother. But what I also love is, like, watching you as Breeze's mother, you are two different entities. You are individuals, and I think you do that well. You know, you give them their wings to be their own creative expression while also being the inspiration within that, while also getting the inspiration from them, and there's definitely this cohesion between you of, like, okay, yes, this is a family, but there's such a separateness as well of artists in their own right. And you know, and that's hard to do, I can imagine. You know, I come from a very codependently enmeshed relationship with my mom, very artistic and very creative. But I, you know, as much as I tried to kind of create that separation, it just wasn't happening on her end. You know, but I also, as I look around, I think a lot of people really struggle with that. You know, and I love that you, not only that you do it well, but you also admit that you still struggle, because we do have to give ourselves permission to be worked in progress and not be perfect, and allow ourselves to be flawed, because then we allow, you know, the young ones, you know, to be flawed as well. You know?
I struggled in the beginning because I was so young. I didn't. I worked a lot. I admit I wasn't around. I was working though, and then I went through something when my mother passed. So that played a big part in Breeze's upbringing, and so there was a lot of independent things going on, which it helps Breeze now. And I mean, I apologize for it, like, you know, but because they grew up in such environment, they're able to make decisions. Like, even as a teenager, you know, I didn't do anything. They filled out for college. They did everything.
Yeah. And what's so important is, like, how you're guiding now and how you're reflecting now. You know, and it's all that, like, fuel for the poetry and the creativity and you know. So we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna ask you your last question, but before I do, real quick. TikTok, where do people find you on
I
TikTok?
am DeeTruePoetry on everything. I kind of tweaked it to DeeTrueTV because I'm tapping into the acting portion.
DeeTrueTV,
yeah,
love
so
it.
it's just a little different.
Yeah.
I have YouTube, I have TikTok, I have every platform.
Instagram, you have some fun stuff on Instagram. I was watching stuff last night. It's funny and creative, very
I like to do the
creative.
acting thing.
I
I've
like
always
it's out
loved
of
that.
the box. It's
Yes,
out of the
I
box.
love that. I've done one show and I'm planning to do some more.
I'm gonna have to have you back so we could talk a little bit more about all the projects that you're working on if we had more time. time. But this is a good problem to have. So our last question, because it's all about you, audience. So we want to find out what tips you have for the audience, for new writers, experienced writers, on how they keep going, just to stay inspired. Anything from what you want to give them.
Okay,
Your
so
little pearl.
basically be true to self. The only way, someone told me that the only way you'll write your truest poem is if you tell the truth and be your truest self. So I've healed through my poetry, and I feel like that's the best way to be, and be honest. Because you can lie to yourself if you want to, but who are you hurting?
Right. Snap, 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 snap. All right, Miss DeeTruePoetry, thank you so much for joining us. You're going to do some more poems for us, correct?
Yes.
So one poem for us? Yes, so do not go anywhere. Please join our Facebook group, Speak Your Mind, on Facebook. Speak Your Mind at myyahoo.com. Send us your 5 to 10 line poems, and I will read them on the air one of these days, and it could be you. So keep writing. Stay tuned for more DeeTruePoetry. Give those snaps.
I am going to recite a poem out of my book, Broken Silence. It's called A Hug. I need a hug. A real hug, like the kind that makes you melt. I want to feel the buckle of his belt. I want to smell the warmth of his skin, feeling it all around me like sunbeams. I want a hug so sweet, I get a toothache just from the memory. I want a hug so filling that I never have to eat again. I want a hug that'll never end. I want a hug with heights of mountains. I want to feel it deep within, moving my feet beneath me to the depths of the earth's core where my heart beats. I want a hug with all gas and no brakes that sends me flying carelessly, pure emotion. I want a hug so full of passion, it sends impulses of commotion, making me feel brave enough to say words you don't hear today. Words like please and thank you. Please hold me tight and thank you for never letting go. Frozen in his arms where I belong. His head rests over mine. His hands caress my spine. As he holds on tightly, he's happy to see me. Wrapped around me with pure honesty and understanding. His hug makes me whole again. His hug keeps out the cold, and his hug will heal those wounds of being battered and bruised. In fact, even though I know not of his great embrace, still I wait. I need a hug from my soulmate so our souls can dance and our hearts can sing, and I can take my place back in his ribs, caged in his chest, embedded in his skin, as he and I, like tattooed tribal signs, for I was made to be not just in his arms, but inside, all the way deep. I want to be his heartbeat, the only place I feel truly at peace, beloved. Heartbeats like heavenly harps vibrating through my soul. His hug is my home.